everyone, and happy Monday morning. I am here with Mercedes Collins, who is the owner of Neurogen Brain Balancing of the East Valley. And we're here to spotlight her today. And I love it that she's going to be talking about the power of pivoting and how utilizing the Neurogen Brain Balancing for her own central nervous system had really helped her with getting over some of those fears and things that might have been keeping her stuck. We talk about that a lot. And I know it sounds very cliche, but we get in our own way. Maybe I should say that, Mercedes. We
True.
get in our own way. And on Monday, September 23rd, is going to be the day that we're talking about this. So, Mercedes, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And yes, I know not like I coach on pivoting or anything, but I definitely have pivoted. I mean, career-wise, life-wise, I feel like I've done a lot for just turning 30 for myself. So I'm definitely no stranger to pivoting. But yeah, like you said, the nervous system, it's wild. And it's something I really didn't know about or learn to dive into until a couple of years ago. And yeah, I just like to describe what I do as kind of like the cherry on top to nervous system regulation. It's not your end all be all. It's not the one thing that's going to cure and save you, but it is just another tool you can put into your tool belt to go on top of, the journaling, the meditations, and all the other things that you might already be utilizing in your day-to-day life to try and like stay calm.
So tell me what we have the website here at nbeastvalley.com. So everyone can go check it out there. Tell me a little bit more about what is Neurogen Brain Balancing. Let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit about what that is first.
Yeah, so in a sense, it's an in-person service. So you have to actually physically come into the office. It's not something you can necessarily do on your own because what it is it's rewiring your brain. It's creating new neural pathways, but it's through using an EEG. So without getting too sciencey on how it works, basically, I'm just putting these little things around your skull, and it's putting a microcurrent electricity into the brain, which I know can sound scary to some people, but your body's already a current. So this is nothing new for it. So that's why it's in a sense fast tracking the nervous system regulation because it's creating and doing those new neural pathways and doing the rewiring for you without you having to actually actively look at, do anything, read anything. So that's how it's fast tracking everything.
So then what are the benefits
Yeah.
of building those new neural pathways? I don't think a lot of people understand the science behind why we want to build those new neural pathways. So we've got our current neural pathways, and how were those created? How
Yeah,
were
so
those neural pathways?
think of it as like your habits, right? We're all pretty familiar with, creating a new habit. It takes like what do they say now? 21 days to create a new habit. It's very similar to that. Your brain has habits. It has like little road like railroad tracks. It's got those that's what those pathways are. And so all we're doing is it's going in and it's the way that it's a machine. It's a little box, like I said, it's using an EEG. So how it's working is I'm seeing your actual brain waves on the screen. So I can see if your body and your mind is stressed, if it's tired, if it's anxious, if it's not, and you're great. We call it a balanced brain when all of those brain waves are low and together versus a couple being super spiked, which is really common, even with kids too. So to answer your question on how it works and who it can benefit, it's funny because it can literally benefit everybody, but some of the biggest things and most of the clients that I've been seeing so far, I do work with a lot of kids and adults too for things like ADHD, improving focus, better concentration, not being so easily distracted, which whether you're a 10-year-old trying to get through a math test or a 40-year-old trying to get through your day at work, that can be obviously a really good skill to have is to have that calm and collectiveness to be able to focus. But even things like I worked with a lot of women with migraines, which is crazy that it's literally helping get rid of the migraines. So there's so many things that it can be utilized for. For me, it was stress and anxiety, and I have two tiny
Mhm.
children. So it's just like I said, going back to that nervous system regulation and just feeling calm more in the moment than getting triggered by all the things that day-to-day life just throws at us.
I think we need to remember too that PTSD doesn't only happen to those in the military. Post traumatic stress happens from anything that's post trauma.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So anything dramatic that
Mhm.
has been or traumatic that has been in your life that has happened, it could be the loss of a loved one, it could be the loss of a child, it could be a car accident that you just can't seem to get over because it was really bad and you remember every single moment of it. Whatever that might be, there are traumas that we have in our lives. How have you found utilizing the brain balancing to relieve some of those symptoms? I think that's
Yeah.
working
I
for
mean,
you.
I'll just give you an example of somebody that I have been working with for probably the past month and a half or two. They've done maybe 8 sessions or so by now, and they came to me not knowing that it was PTSD that was triggering what they were experiencing. It was just
Mhm.
very severe anxiety, and long story short, they were basically nervous to, in a sense, be outside because of an event that happened 8 years ago of getting dehydrated out of the country and having to get like medvac flown home, and it was like a life-threatening situation. So they were scared of being out in the heat, and of course, living here in Arizona, and hadn't really been able to work through that for years, was fluctuating with this anxiety, and again from the PTSD. And like I said, after about 3 or 4 sessions, he was starting to actually like be able to be outside and not having those fears. And so it's just, to me, I just love how life changing, and I know that sounds so cliche, but it truly is like a life changing thing to be able to not be afraid to be outside and in the heat.
Yeah.
And that's a very traumatic experience. And to not have it, it's not that you forget, with PTSD, it's not that that feeling is never there, but it's not always at the forefront of your mind because it doesn't need to have to always be right there to hinder your day to day activities. And that's how I like to describe it. And again, that situation can be different for everybody, whether it's
Yeah.
postpartum depression, coming back from the military. There's all sorts of things that it can help and benefit from.
Yeah, I want to make a note that you're available on Instagram. So if you go to Instagram, for all of you, go to Mercedes A. Collins and you'll find her. She's a cute little redhead on Instagram, and you'll find her out there. Here's what I want to ask you a question about and have you make a note about. We'll have all these links available too, as well as your website at mbbeastvalley.com. We'll have that out there as well on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, for no matter which area is your favorite to watch these videos. I'd like you to talk about how it doesn't have to be as extreme as the situation you just explained,
Mhm.
but how you used it in your pivoting from just being everyday stresses, everyday environment. We're talking right now about a lot of heavy stress on the political environment. So people are feeling this uneasiness and stress. And this is very common around an election year. Most people are feeling very uneasy because they don't know the outcome. So they like hold back and pause and kind of become frozen based on making choices. What did you find that using this device had done for you kind of in your everyday decision making and deciding to leave corporate America, start your own business? How could you tell just the average individual how they could use that?
Yeah. So, yes to everything you said. There's so much going on in the world these days, especially, yeah, this year with the election and everything. And for me personally, yes, I did leave a safe and secure. I don't say safe and secure. It was still sales, but it was a very different form of what than where I'm at now. So yeah, like you said, being able to pivot. I left that job about a year and a half ago, and I also have two tiny humans at home. I have a 1 and a 3 year old, so you can kind of probably sense, I left a really secure income to start a business and have tiny children to raise and be a wife and still do all of the things. And it was a lot of stress on me emotionally, financially, just feeling like, as a mom in general, just trying to do everything, and I was starting to get really really burnt out. And again, this is kind of what led me into learning about nervous system regulation in the first place a year or two ago. And then when I found out about this particular tool about 6 or 7 months ago, I did a couple sessions for myself, and after about the third one, I was like, "Oh my gosh, the normal day-to-day stress." I'm not talking about the crazy traumatic, but just the day-to-day of having a new business. How am I going to make income? How are we going to do this? What about the kids and all of the juggling? I noticed a sense of ease in my body. That's the best way I can describe it. The things that used to like, I didn't realize how tense I was all the time until I didn't feel that way anymore. And I was like, oh, this is how a normal day could be. I don't have to, be stressed out and upset because I maybe didn't make any income that week. So let me yell at the kids and take it out on them because they're not, my 3-year-old wants the purple cup and not the pink cup, and she's now having a meltdown. And so it's like just those little day-to-day stressors. And I don't want to say that you're all of a sudden just going to be happy for the rest of your life and nothing's going to bother you, but you get to find that balance and not, and I like to describe it as like you get to be the version of you that you want to be without it having to be so hard. If that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and it's like you said, it's the neural pathways. So
Mhm.
our beliefs have created neural pathways in our brain. And so if someone told you that purple was actually green, you would be able to say, no, purple is not green. And these are the reasons why. And all of that comes from your neural pathways of what you've created in your brain to understand why something is one color and not another color, right? And
Yep.
so when we create these neural pathways, we create the confidence that comes with that belief of those neural pathways. You created that neural pathway for yourself to believe that this was the best decision, even though there was always going to be stress that comes with that, right? It's change. Whenever our bodies go through a change, there's going to be that unfamiliarity
Mhm.
of the unknown. That's
Yeah,
right. So
and one of
having
the
that
biggest
paycheck doesn't look the same anymore.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things I forgot to mention that has, because like I said, it's hard to justify who it could be for because it literally can help so much. But
Yeah.
biggest thing that I come across with 9.9 out of 10 people I see is sleep. You might be getting 7 or 8 hours, but are you waking up feeling well rested? Are you waking up feeling like you need that cup of coffee, or you're just doing it out of habit? Are
Love
you
it.
having those racing thoughts at night? Because I can guarantee you, if you're stressed about money, you're stressed about work, you're stressed about your next day, and what are you gonna cook for breakfast the next morning for the kids, and all of the things that we just think about,
Yeah.
you're probably not getting adequate sleep. Most of us aren't, and it's hard to admit that. So what this does too is it actually helps you relax your brain at night without having to take any kind of medications or anything like that. And whether you get, it's funny, people I worked with, they'll still only get 5 or 6 hours of sleep, but they're like, I feel so much more well rested, because what you don't understand, most of us, is the body is not actually getting a chance to recuperate. So you're waking up the next day still stressed from the day before or the week before. Your body's never getting that chance to reset itself like it needs to get into that deep sleep. And that is how it can be a huge impact on your stress and anxiety and all of that stuff too. So it all just kind of works together so beautifully. It's not like, oh, I'm going to come in and just no longer have stress. You'll probably start to notice, oh, weird, I'm focusing better, I'm sleeping better, I'm like doing all these things. So that's what
Yeah.
I love about it, is it kind of just hits home in all of those areas.
So tell us a few reasons why someone local in Arizona, because you're local and need to have a office visit with someone,
Mhm.
why would they want to come see you? You talked about post-traumatic stress, so someone who's been through that trauma, if you've had migraines, if
Mhm.
you're having trouble sleeping, if you're in a big transition
Yeah.
in your life, what are some other reasons?
I mean, like I said, I've been seeing a lot more kids lately, just for whether it's ADHD or you think it might be ADHD or just wanting to focus better, even just excuse me, social anxiety. I worked with some teenage girls that are just having a tough
Yeah.
time in middle school, like, let's be honest. And so just all of that stuff. But to your point, even if it's funny, I've actually worked with a couple people who are like, but I feel like I'm good. Like, I don't know if I really need this. Like, I don't have any problems. Not in a bad way, but just they don't feel they have any problems. And I'm like, let's just try. Let's just see. And they just notice better focus. They're like, oh, I can actually, like, I complete tasks a little faster. I can swap and multitask a little bit faster. So I just say,
Love
if you're
that.
looking to any kind of improvement, it can probably do it for you.
Well, I'm calling Mercedes up because she's right down the street from me, and I haven't been in to see her yet. So that would
Yes.
be a fun session. I would look forward to that. So Mercedes, definitely let's get me on the schedule for that, and we'll get that scheduled. So nbbeastvalley.com. You can also connect with Mercedes on Instagram at Mercedes A. Collins. on Instagram. And just thank you so much for being a valued member of the LEAP community. And it's so nice to be able to spotlight our members every Monday and give them a space to be able to share what they do. And it also helps so many individuals that we reach know about your services to be able to do what they need to do to take care of it. And this one I was most excited about today because this is truly about pivoting in your life and realizing that I may need some extra tools for this big transition that I'm going through, and utilizing and knowing which tools are the best to use are the most important. So reach out to mbbeastvalley.com, talk with Mercedes, see if this is the best option for you. And Mercedes, I want to thank you again for being a valued member of our community.
Of course, and I appreciate you having me on the morning spotlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes. And to all of you out there, don't forget, be you and be strong and go crush your goals this week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.